Welcome back to Is It Still Good, the channel where we watch older films and let you know if they still hold up. Today, we're going to watch a film from 1999, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. But first, let's try to sell a book or two. Okay, hopefully we sold a book or two. Thank you guys for buying and reading them. I love you all. My third book will be out in mid-2023, I think. That's what I'm telling people, so I'm going to go with it. Anyway, Eyes Wide Shut. That's why you're here. We're going to talk about it. Our rating, drama mystery, runs 2 hours, 45 minutes. And unless you're very easily titillated, that's going to feel like a really long time. Okay, if this is like some forbidden fruit movie to you where the nudity and the sex within is going to be really taboo and crazy for you, then maybe that 2:45 goes by pretty quick. But to the rest of us that are a little desensitized to that sort of thing and or are 42 plus and kind of don't care, feels like a long movie. It's not to say it's a bad movie. It's a good movie. Stars Tom Cruise as Dr. Bill Hartford and his wife, who was his real life wife at the time, Nicole Kidman, who plays Alice Hartford. Made $162 million at the box office. I don't know what they paid. Tom Cruise, probably a lot of money. But here's the thing. This movie's mired in a lot of controversy. There's a lot of rumors around this movie. There was a really weird rumor about Harvey Keitel you can look up that I'm not going to get into on this. It's really gross that I don't know if it's true or not. Because I like Harvey Keitel as an actor, so I don't want to believe certain weirdness. But Kubrick died 4 days after presenting the final cut to Warner Brothers, and he was said to be in fine health by most. So it was really crazy. Apparently there was some argument, this is the rumor, right? That there was some argument about the final cut of the film. He said this was his masterpiece, which he's gone on record as saying. There is a longer cut of the film. Some aspects of the film were upsetting to those at Warner Brothers, or whatever the rumor was. And then just like that, he has a heart attack 4 days later. But then I did see another report from someone else that said, yeah, he did look pretty ragged by the end of shooting. So they weren't terribly shocked that he had a sudden heart attack. But he was young, he had a heart attack, and I don't know. This is a kind of crazy movie. If you watch this movie, this couple is just so unnerving. They both just pissed me off. This movie is fascinating to me. I love the camera angles in this. I love the colors of this film, but I hate the characters. I hate what it's about. If anything, it's just like a rich people film, really. I mean, we're watching this for New Year's, kind of. I did want to talk about Dazed and Confused, but I shredded Dazed and Confused. Spoiler, it's going to be up. But be prepared, because I did not enjoy D and C as much as I used to at all. That movie was a stanker, I thought, this time around. So, oof. And I'm glad I did. It was an interesting watch. I learned some trivia about it. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman both signed open-ended contracts to work on this for as long as it took, which is interesting. Stanley Kubrick picked the release date, I read, and he studied the information about release dates and times for box office, things like that, and then he picked the date, I guess. It was shot in London, despite having taken place in New York. And you can really tell, by the way, this is one of my gripes of this film. I'm from New York. It doesn't feel like New York at all. At all. It feels like a set. And I've never seen New York so dead. Any corner of New York dead. So apparently that's on purpose. The guy that's stalking him around towards the end, he walks across an empty street and it's very creepy. And that song that's pounded into your head. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Or something to that effect. It becomes kind of like Chinese water torture after a while. It's just like somebody biffing you in the forehead with their thumb. And I know that was by design, because the man's a mad genius and I love him to death. I love everything Kubrick has ever done. But for my money, I'd rather watch A Clockwork Orange than Eyes Wide Shut any day. I can't stand this couple. This handsome rich doctor guy does not inspire me in any way. They're both schmucks. It's kind of like American Psycho blended with something I don't want to watch. But it's good. I know it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a score right now to get it out of the way. I would give this film an 8 out of 10. It's really, really good. I consider it fascinating and uncomfortable, right? Both at the same time. And, like there's orgies and stuff in it. They had to put computer-generated people in it to get the rating down from NC-17 down to an R. Stanley Kubrick sat in on psychological evaluation sessions with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, where they divulged deep, dark secrets where only he knows about. And I think they signed contracts where no one can speak about what was said in those sessions. Something like that. I don't know. I read it in trivia. Kubrick thought this was his best work. This was his first film to open as #1 in the US. That's interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of trivia to this. You guys can look it up. There's a lot of crazy stuff about this movie. There's a lot of theories about Stanley Kubrick's death. Am I treading dangerous ground talking about this? Is the Hollywood elite going to come for me for making this video? Probably not. But apparently they're this all-powerful organization, and Stanley Kubrick hit the nail a little too close to the head. And much like Mike Judge's Idiocracy, where he poked fun at corporations relentlessly throughout that film, the exposing of the Hollywood elite as being degenerates and sexual deviants, is not that much of a guarded secret, apparently, as they might think it is. I mean, it's kind of what we all assume, isn't it? Like, isn't that, I don't know, I just assume that. Like, the rich and powerful, like, I would hate to hang out with the ultra rich. How would you know who your friends were? I like being, like, where I'm at, or lower. I've spent most of my life in poverty, and it really kind of helped me out. I don't know. But this just seems more like a rich person cautionary tale, a rich white cautionary tale to me. It's okay. I like this movie. I do. I think it's worth a watch. It's very, very interesting. It's fascinating. It's shot expertly by a master director that I have infinite respect for. But as far as the subject, it's not my thing. And, I lived in South Florida. So, I don't know. It was just kind of weird. The whole thing was weird upon this watch. The first time I saw it, I thought it was badass. Stanley Kubrick, super cool. And yeah, I'm holding the guy up because he's such an amazing director, but I'm not that into it. It's kind of like There Would Be Blood by is that Paul Thomas Anderson? I think that did Magnolia. By the way, he was said to have visited the set of Eyes Wide Shut to offer Tom Cruise the role of Frank T.J. Mackey in Magnolia. But my point is when I first saw that film, I didn't care for it because it wasn't a subject I cared about. Oil refinery? I don't care about that. But I have to acknowledge it's a masterpiece of a film, much like this one. I'm sure it is. The characters stay with you, the scenes stay with you, the imagery stays with you for sure. And if you're like easily triggered by sexual stuff, you're going to hate it. If you're easily turned on by sexual stuff, maybe you're going to really like it. For me, it's just kind of boring. I mean, I like this movie. It's an 8 out of 10, but it's boring for me. So does that mean you need to watch it? Well, you heard what I had to say. If you're into the sexual nonsense, you're going to like it. And, I'm cool with that stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I just don't need it in my R-rated films. There's time and a place for that stuff too. So I don't really need it in my film. I'm more into the fantasy sci-fi action element. Anyway, you guys all know that. So this just isn't my wheelhouse. But yeah, orgies, Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, boobies, you get it all. Super creepy music, super creepy actors. Kind of reminds me of Lost Highway in a really watered down way. I'd rather watch Lost Highway, to be honest. Let's talk about that film sometime soon. But anyway, it's New Year's. Thank you guys so much for helping the channel grow. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you for buying my books. Happy New Year's. I'm so thankful this year is over, finally. And I know it doesn't really matter, and it's just the symbolic changing of a day. But I'm really pumped for 2023. It's going to be good. I'm going to be very creative. I'm coming out with comics and books, and, I'm writing films and shows, and the YouTube channels trudge ahead. I don't know. I have my Twitch stream, Trash at Chess, on Twitch, where I stream chess content. It's going to be an exciting year, period. So thank you guys for hanging in, and we will see you next year on Is It Still Good?
Your mask.